What's going on, YouTube? Rdap Dan here. Hope you guys are having an awesome week, or at least start to your week. Today is Monday, and nobody likes Mondays. I look forward to Mondays
Nothing's
because
showing up.
it's there. Just and sorry guys, we have a guest on the line with us tonight. She's trying to check and watch the audio. I can see it's working on our side. So as you guys can see, we've been talking a little. We spoke about this last week, a couple of days ago, that we were going to be exposing a company. And as you guys can see, that company is Rdap Law Consultants. And I imagine they are not going to be too happy with this video. I'm assuming I will get emails, text messages, and that's okay, because the whole point of doing this is to bring exposure to companies that are using what I believe to be deceitful practices in order to try to earn your trust and earn your business. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to have an awesome lady with us by the name of Lynn, who's going to be joining us, and she was an ex-client of Rdap Law Consultants, and she's going to take us through her entire journey of what has happened with them. And we have the awesome experience of having recorded audio and screenshots, emails they sent to her that I think you guys will see that is very, very, very deceptive. So before we jump in and introduce you to Lynn, I want to kind of show you this video. It's a 9-minute video, and it's got the audio that took place when Lynn decided she no longer wanted to work with them and she was getting her money back. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to go back to how we got to that point. So hang tight, guys, because here we go right now. The purpose of this video is to bring awareness to individuals that are seeking information on how they can position themselves for the best possible outcome without fear of being preyed upon. We feel that exposing companies of whom use extremely unethical techniques for the purposes of increasing profits is an important civil service. Claims and accusations made in this video are 100% verified. Please do your research prior to hiring anyone who claims to assist you in this extremely tough time. Thank you.
Hello.
In the state of Arkansas, it is not illegal to record a phone conversation as long as one of the parties has given prior
No, I don't have
consent.
anything on. I don't. Yeah, I'm positive.
Hello, this is Ann.
Yes, now that you've awakened me at 6:30 on a
I'm so
Saturday
sorry.
morning, what may I do for you?
Yep, I wanted to resolve things, and we're going to refund you, but I noticed I called our accountant and he said you already lodged a dispute. And what I'd like to do, Lynn, is a couple of things. First, we'd like to either wire you the money or overnight a bank's money order or cashier's check. We'll do it for a little bit larger. We're going to add, let me see, we'll add 10% to it for all the trouble. But it'll be for $3,300, and in return, we'd like to then have your husband resolve the dispute amicably.
That's fine.
If that's okay with your family, and again, extra 10% for all your trouble, and
I will still be
and then I
talking to Dr. about my assessment and getting an assessment from him, but I will deal directly with him on that.
right, he quit. Whatever you said to him, he quit on us. He don't want to have nothing to do with us anymore.
Because you had me flat out lie and make up stories that aren't true, and I told you all along I did not feel comfortable with that. I couldn't do it. I canceled my appointment with him numerous times. You're telling me to go get drugs, that I continue to tell you that I do not feel comfortable doing these things. And I'm going to tell you what really burns my butt is y'all called me for months, texted me for months, emailed me for months, trying to get me to do your Rdap consulting. I talked to Sam. He told me all I had to do was tell the truth about what I do drink. Then I pay y'all, and then guess what happened? You know what happened because you did it on. You put pressure on me. You called me, told me all these stories I had to say. Then I'm reading up and hearing from other people that's not true because the actual problem I do have qualifies for Rdap. So I don't understand why you put me knowing I did not want to do this the whole time. I continued to tell you I do not feel comfortable making up stories. You told me all these stories to tell him, how I lose my car, constantly want to go out with friends and find those friends to drink with, and I hide alcohol from my husband. I drink 15 bottles of wine a week. I hide it from my husband. I drink hard alcohol and hide it from my husband. You told me to say that I pass out and black out and all these things that aren't true. Why did you tell me to say that when I was telling you the whole time they were not true, and I did not want to say those? And yesterday, when I was stressed out about it, you know what you told me? Suck it up, basically, or you were going to fire me as a client. I told you that I prayed about this and I did not feel comfortable doing it, yet you continued to pressure me and told me, by the way, yesterday that your therapist would just call the prison and keep me from being in the program unless I wanted to suck it up right then, and that you were not a therapist, that you were not going to sit there and spend any more time listening to me be upset about this, that you had a small amount of time you were going to spend with me, and that was it. You know, you bullied me yesterday when I was at my lowest moment.
I apologize.
When I was at my lowest moment.
I apologize.
And you're probably doing it to other people. That's what worries me. You're probably doing this to others. You manipulate, you prey on people at their lowest time, you instill fear in people at their lowest time. And you know what, you're in the wrong career if that's how you're going to treat people. That is not helping someone in my situation. And the saddest part of that is, you know this because you've been here, or so you told me you had. You told me you went to prison. Then you know how you and your family were feeling. You do. You know how in your family felt at that time. Then stop preying on people when they're in their lowest moment. Stop it.
Well, I will do that. And
I'm
if you would allow me, we're gonna I can either wire you $3,000 plus the 10% for all the trouble, or I can overnight a check. What would you prefer?
Let me just tell you this. If you send us a check, we put it in our bank account, and then a few days later, y'all claim stop payment on that check or do anything to prevent me from having my money, I'm going to file a lawsuit on you for pain and suffering for what you put me through.
Please do, because that's bad.
And I'll say something else. If you do anything to mess with that Dr. from keeping me from getting a legitimate assessment from him for the issues I do have, I'm also going to file a lawsuit on you. Because what you've done to me for the last month is beyond what anyone should have to go through when they're in the position I'm in right now. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself,
I understand that. I am ashamed.
The way you talk to me.
I want to let you know, I had a conversation with him this morning.
With who?
Quick. With
So he's not going to do an assessment for me now?
No, I don't know. You scared him enough, okay? You scared the jeepers out of him.
I didn't scare him. I told him the truth. If he's scared, it's because he knows that he's going to lose his license because what y'all are getting him to do.
And so he values his license, so he wants nothing to do with us. Okay?
Do you blame him on?
So I don't blame him. I'm just saying you just told me that you want an interview with him or an assessment. I can't control him now. He doesn't work for me. We don't control what happens in the interview. We control who he does work with because we pay him. Someone pays him, right? We pay him out of the money you gave us. Okay? So we're not paying him for whatever you're about to do with him. So I don't know if he'll say yes or no. I know that he's very worried.
But yet he's never mailed an assessment to a prison?
He doesn't know who to mail it to. He's unfamiliar with the prison system, so we do that work. Remember I told you there's some politics involved, and so...
Yeah, but they don't know you, so...
But you don't want them to know me. You don't want to be known to hire a firm to get you in. It just makes them look bad. And so we are very
So how are they getting letters from you and getting assessments from you?
We do it through a law firm. Right.
Y'all need to stop doing this. This is just a big fat fraud. You got out of prison and you're continuing to fraud people. Obviously, the RDAP program didn't teach you anything on, or you haven't learned a lesson from already going to prison once for fraud. You basically threatened me that I would, well, not you, that the therapist would call the prison and prevent me from getting in. And that's just a bunch of crap, because now you're telling me the therapist wasn't even aware of what y'all were doing. So it was just an idle threat you made to bully me, to keep me in line, or whatever it is you tell yourself you're doing, because you knew what you were doing was wrong. So you bullied me. Don't bully anybody else on. You know what? Or you're going to need a prison consultant again.
I understand, and I thank you.
So I'll be waiting on the money.
For caring enough to tell me that, because that you have to be.
Okay, caring. I don't need any manipulation right now. I'm not listening to your BS. Right. But I am going to pray for you, because obviously.
Thank you.
You need to get some help for what you're doing to people.
All right, so that was the call that took place only because they were completely freaking out with the situation that they had put themselves in, and realizing all of the emails that they had sent to her where she had tons and tons of proof. I'm going to introduce you now to Lynn. She's in here with us right now. Lynn, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and you guys let me know if you can't hear Lynn. So we're going to let Lynn explain a little bit about how she ended up getting involved with Rdap Law Consultants and why she ultimately ended up going with them. And also, we're going to be having her back on the show either next Wednesday or potentially the Wednesday after that to tell her story about how she ended up getting into her situation to go to prison. So we're not going to be talking about that today because we really want to keep this on topic. So Lynn, why don't you explain how you came about to meet Rdap Law Consultants and how that transpired?
After I was sentenced, they began calling me. And so I didn't know about prison consulting at that time. And I got interested after I was given 45 months. They assured me that they could get me into programs I didn't even know about, that would get time off of my sentence. I told them I didn't believe I qualified for said programs, and he told me I did. So I started talking with a guy named Sam Copenhaver. And Sam seemed like a professional guy. He assured me that it was 100% guaranteed money back. If I didn't get in the program, that I would get all my money back. So we signed up with him, paid them $3,000 through PayPal, and then he passed me off to the guy that was on the audio named On. On proceeded to tell me opposite of what I had been told by Sam. Sam asked me, had I ever actually went out and had drinks with my friends, drove home, and I said, yes, I had. And so when he passed me off to On, the story changed. That's when I started getting all the emails telling me I had to go to the doctor and ask for prescription drugs to take my family with me. He wanted me to go and get these drugs for withdrawals. And I said, I can't do that. I don't need these drugs. I'm not getting drugs I don't need. Well, he kept insisting that I had to have those to get into this program. He also sent me a email that gave me 6 things that he says I had to say to a therapist. And I continued to tell him, I don't want to say these things to a therapist. Those are lies. I'm not losing my car. I don't have 15 bottles of wine hid somewhere from my husband. I'm not passing out. I'm not, wrecking my car. It was just a long laundry list of things that he said I would have to say to get in the program. I struggled with this for about a month and a half. I kept canceling the appointment with the therapist to talk to him because I just couldn't bring myself to to do this. And my friends were trying to help me through it. My friends, you know, I was crying to my friends. I was so upset. I was so stressed. It was bringing so much more stress into mine and my family's life at a time that, to be honest, I only have, you know, a little bit of time left to be with my family before I have to report to prison. So it was just bringing a lot of undue stress into my life. And I continued to tell them, who was calling me, that I was not interested in doing what he wanted. I called Sam again. I told Sam what was telling me. He made excuses. I even read him the emails had sent with the drugs, because Sam tried to tell me that.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because we actually have those emails. And
yes.
The reason why I want to focus on this for a minute, we actually had a question in the room. Audio Sound Labs asked exactly what was the fraud. So, you know, I'm not an attorney and I'm not here. We're here exposing what took place, and it's up to you guys to determine what you think on this. So we're going to show you some of these emails, which they're a little bit hard to read. Let me go to it. Here it is. Okay. So the email on the left, and I've got the actual email in my hand. The one on the left is "Go to the Doctor." That was the title of the email. This was from Nugyen at Rdap Law Consultants. This is the actual email. This isn't a copy and paste version. This is an actual email. And this is what they were instructing Lynn to go do. "Please go to your doctor and tell them the following. You have been drinking every day for a very long time and are an alcoholic. You'll be going to prison and are scared that they are going to make you stop drinking cold turkey. Your attorney told you that you need to walk in there with some prescriptions, or the prison will ignore your medical needs since it is so crowded in there. Tell the doctor you don't want to suffer." That's number 2. "Ask the doctor, please give you a prescription for Librium or Ativan or Naltrexone or anything else he feels appropriate to help with withdrawal. Now ask for Thiamine, which is a vitamin so you can take while you're there to prevent brain damage. This also is one that is very important to get. They will not allow non-prescription pills prison to go, so buying it over the counter is useless. It has to be a prescription. Many times, doctors will be very reluctant to prescribe anything for fear that you may be a drug addict trying to score some recreational drugs, or fact that you may die even if prescribed something due to seizures. To overcome this, bring a family member with you to do the talking to assure the doctor. Let me know when you get this. Please fill it out immediately. You'll be carrying and walking into prison with a bottle of pills. Remember to bring them. You're not supposed to consume any of these just yet, so no need to take them." This is an email directly from Rdap Law Consultants, and that was from Nugyen, who that's the voice you heard on the recording. So this is what Lynn is being instructed to do, and she's having issues and conflict with this because it's going against all grain of common sense, basically. And the important thing here to remember, and we're going to let Lynn talk some more about this in a second. So she's being told all of these other lies that you told to tell the therapist that she's drinking 15 bottles a day and she's hiding them in the pool house from her husband. None of this was true. And the interesting thing is we reached out to this therapist. We were able to get the therapist on the phone, and after about a 30-minute conversation, it was very clear that the therapist had no idea that the client was being coached to say these things. And when I brought up what was happening and the name of the law consultant firm that was referring people to him, and when I said the name Rdap Law Consultants, and this is happening with their clients, we have a stack of emails from clients that say to do the exact same thing that they're telling Lynn to do. Immediately, that therapist went and drafted a letter of resignation and sent it to Rdap Law Consulting, removing himself from anything to do with their company because that is not what his actual intent was. So I do want to be very clear that the therapist was definitely in the dark on this. Lynn, what kind of stress and chaos and how did you and I end up having a conversation where we're able to bring all this to light and kind of, this is where you found out that this wasn't the first person they possibly done this to? Kind of run us through that scenario a little bit.
I was really upset, and I was talking to another person that had been previously in prison, and she was just talking to me about what it was like to go to women's prison. And she texted you and told you that they were trying to get me to lie, and you called me. And it was the day I had talked with the therapist, and I'd been so upset. I was literally in bed all day after that. I was so stressed and depressed, and I was crying. I had been talking to a couple of my friends, and I didn't know what to do. I was just stressed. You literally stayed on the phone with me 6 hours before you got me calm, because I was so stressed out from the fear that these people had put in me. He basically told me, I told him I was going to alert the therapist to what they were doing, that I did not like it. It was not right. And I was not going to go along with this. I was going to alert the therapist and tell him what had happened. They told me if I did that, that the therapist was actually going to call the prison and prevent me from getting in any program. I was literally scared to death. I've never been in trouble in my life. It's been a very hard time for us. And so I'm literally sitting here being bullied basically by, on, the guy that was sending me the emails and that you heard on the voice.
Audio.
Yes, the audio. And after we talked, you had told me to send him a letter demanding my money back, or an email, which I did. And that's when the following, you also told me about that program I could tape him with, because I didn't know about that program. But he actually called me at 6:30 the following morning after I sent him the email, and after I talked to the therapist and told the therapist what he was doing. He called me at 6:30 on a Saturday morning. That's when I taped the phone call.
And just so you guys know, certain states do not require you to notify the other party that you're recording the conversation. She lives in a one-party state. So as long as she's aware that the call is being recorded and she's the one engaged in the conversation, she does not by law have to notify the other person that the conversation was being recorded. Go ahead, Lynn.
Well, really, the rest is history. I've been harassed by them a few times since I, started getting my money back. He sent me all sorts of other stuff after he gave my money back. He actually paid the therapist, even though he gave me money back.
How much did you pay him, Lynn?
We paid him $3,000.
And how much did he give you back?
He sent us overnight on a Saturday to where it got here on Monday, 2 different checks, one for $3,000 for the refund and an extra $300 that he just offered up. I never asked for it. And on top of that, he paid the therapist, I think $125 to do the assessment on me. He also has since that time sent me multiple emails. They just keep coming on the Second Chance Act and other things. These emails actually have other people's information that I feel is probably HIPAA. It's crazy, the stuff he sent me that has other people's mental conditions in it. It has things that I doubt those people would want out in the public. So that also gives me a great rise of concern to what kind of privacy are you getting? I looked at their privacy policy on their page, and I can assure you the things they've sent me from other clients that I have no business seeing is definitely a violation of that.
Now, when you look at their website, you feel like, hey, this company comes off. It's not the most classy website in the world. It's a little hard to see, but they've got some interesting information on there, or at least they had. They up until today, they had an attorney's partners page where it was a list of how many attorneys were on that page, Lynn?
I want to say 35.
Ballpark. 35 attorneys. So we started reaching out to these attorneys just to find out, like, hey, are you a partner of this company? Are you aware of what they may be doing to other clients? And the response we got was kind of shocking, to the point where Rdap who? We're on what website? And since then, they've actually removed them all because these attorneys started calling them. But I do have a screenshot. Let me find it for you here. I think it is this one right here. So here's a screenshot. The picture on the left, if you see on the menu bar, you'll see it's highlighted attorney partners. That's just one section of the page. That kept scrolling down and down and down. I spoke personally to the first person on that page, and he has no idea who they are or how he's on their page. They have his number, one number off, which maybe it was intentional, maybe it wasn't. It is the correct website. We spoke to the attorney, and the attorney since called them and had himself removed, and now that page is completely down. If you look to the page to the right, you'll see there's two people on the page. You've got Mr. Nugyen, which is Ang Nugyen. That's the person's voice you heard on the voice call. He has told us and told several people that he spent time, and where was it, Morgantown, Lynn?
Yes, Morgantown is where he says.
He says he went to prison in Morgantown, and we've heard rumors that he hasn't spent a day in there. We can't find anything on him. And Lynn, you actually asked him a couple questions about proof that if he went to prison, and what did you ask him, and what were his responses?
You told me to ask him what his inmate number was and what date he was released. He could not remember either. But curiously, when I Googled Mr. Daniel Art Barnacle, who is actually the firm we paid through PayPal, his firm, CMS Inc., who also shows up as Mr. Daniel Johnson on their website. Well, not anymore. They removed him today.
Well, they're looking at his picture right now, and
he was on there until today. But he is the one we paid, actually. Curiously, though, if you Google him and find out about his federal crime, he actually did spend time in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Now, what about the picture? The picture that we found of Daniel Johnson and the picture we found of Daniel Barnacle, which Ong has told you is the same person. It's kind of interesting because I think we have a picture of that too, actually. Explain this to us. So, guys, if you're looking at this page right here, so the top person, on the top left person, that's Daniel Johnson. That's the person listed, or that was listed on Rdap Law Consultant's website. We can't find anything about him. And what we found is his real name is Daniel Barnacle. And I don't know about you guys, but that does not look like the same person. So it looks like a possibility that they even used a fake picture of this guy. So Daniel Barnacle is actually Daniel Johnson. Is that correct, Lynn?
Yes. And also, when I read the article where Daniel Art Barnacle was sentenced and about the fraud that he was involved in, there was comments below it. And one of the guys claimed to know him personally and know all about it and said he was writing a book about it. So today I looked him up on Facebook. I sent him a picture, the top picture up there of Daniel Johnson that appeared on Rdap Law's webpage. He had no idea who that guy was. I sent him the second picture you're showing, Daniel Barnacle, and lo and behold, he said, yes, that is Daniel Art Barnacle. And Daniel Art Barnacle is who we paid the $3,000 through. Like I said, he owns that company, CMS Inc., which is an executive consultant agency that they're running this money through. And not that that's illegal. You can have a company that, you know, owns another company doing business as. I'm not saying they're doing something illegal there. I want to make that clear. But I know who we paid through PayPal, and I know who's on their website is not who they say it is. Now, On says they have to protect themselves from clients because they get all these crazy clients that just might show up at their house. And that makes no sense to me because Sam Copenhaver overnighted us money with his phone number that's not the phone number I had for the business that he's been calling me from. So it's obviously his personal cell phone and his personal home address. And I asked On about that. And he said, well, I wasn't one of those clients.
Right. And just so you guys know, the reason why the picture there that we had for Sam, wrong one. Where's he at here? The picture we had for Sam, I couldn't find any other picture. You know, look, I have no issue. Well, I went to prison. Most prison consultants have gone to prison. So the issue here isn't to show Samuel Oliver Copenhaver's mugshot, but that's the only picture that was readily available online that displayed who he was to let you guys know who we're talking about. There's another email that they sent you, and it was called 6 Things to Say During the Interview. Now, what interview are they referring to when they say these are the 6 things you need to say during the interview?
This is the 6 things he wanted me to tell the therapist. He called me multiple times telling me these stories that I had to say, trying to force me to say these things, and about the 15 bottles and how I drink all the time. And then
Right.
this email he sent me as a follow-up after our first conversation about this, and wanted me to say all these things. This was the reminder of what I
Well,
was supposed to say.
let's talk about those 6 things. And you guys can see it. It's on the screen. And for those of you that are watching it on your phone, or maybe it's too small and you can't get a picture of it, I will go ahead and read it to you. So this was sent on Wednesday, December 20th, 2017 from Mr Nugyen. Below are 6 things you want to be able to say. After you're able to talk about your problem, I will be scheduling an interview with the counselor.
Now, mind you, hold on. After you're able to talk, he told me to rehearse my story and all this, and I was supposed to be getting all this story together, and then he was going to call me back, and and he wanted to rehearse it. Now, he never called me back to rehearse it because I kept telling him I couldn't do it. But these 6 things were the things he wanted me to incorporate into a story that I had to rehearse with him and then tell the therapist.
Right. Okay, so these 6 things are the substance abuse counselor and RDAP doctor wants you to say for sure. Never go against these 6 things while in the interview. They will ask you stories about your life and drinks and pills, what you took, and why. So be ready to tell your life story with substances. Here are, and this guy's got horrible grammar. Frequent use, daily, story of your daily use. Life revolves around alcohol and pills. Examples of stories here, such as inventory stocking up in daily personal and business activities. Increased tolerance. Stories you use more and more over the years to get the same effect. Failure to quit. Tried many times but unsuccessful. Too hard. Have withdrawal symptoms. Can't sleep unless used alcohol pills. Stressed out and agitated until using. Number 6, abuse. Personal, business, and criminal. So they're saying that the abuse caused a lot of the personal issues, a lot of the business issues. It's one of the reasons why you created your, they're saying that's what you're going to use as an excuse for why you did your criminal activities. These are the 6 things that they're telling you to say. And I want to talk about this for a little bit, guys, because this is really important. For those of you out there, and look, it depends where you go and do RDAP. Different RDAPs are definitely structured different ways. And I can tell you firsthand, when you get into RDAP, you're going to be required to write, and Hunter Moore's in here too. He might have a more frequent memory of it, but it's either a 10 or a 15-page essay that you're required to write when you get into RDAP. And the essay it's not just an essay of whatever you want to write about. They're going to give you different categories that they want you to talk about. One of the categories is going to be your substance abuse, how it affected your life, and they're going to be comparing to what's in your PSR, typically. And if your PSR has this giant fabricated story, whether you made it up on your own or you were advised to make it up, if you can't carry this story on for the next 10 months, if you're not some grandiose liar that's able to do this on the fly, they're going to sniff you out, and there's a good chance that you will not make it through the program. This is not a walk in the park. Also, a lot of the stuff they're having her do, go get drugs as you're getting ready to go off into prison. So when you arrive at prison, it appears that you're going through withdrawals, that you're drunk. You should all know by now, and if you don't know, you really need to do your homework on what qualifies you for RDAP. But it's basically 12 months up to the indictment or the arrest. So from the arrest or the indictment, from that time period, 12 months back, that is the window that matters. So now here we are a couple of years later, and they're telling her to go get all of these drugs and show up to prison with all of these different crazy showing that she's going through withdrawals. That is not going to help you get into the residential drug addiction program. Another thing that she brought up was they threatened to call the doctor of the prison. And do you remember the name of the doctor that was at that prison, Lynn?
Well, they didn't even have the doctor's name right. They said it was a Dr. Taylor, but then
Talbert, that's right.
We found out it was a different name.
Right. So we found out the real doctor, Dr. Talbert.
But they hadn't been there in a year.
Right. Correct. That's what I'm explaining. So we decided to call the prison. We wanted to find out what's going on. These RDAP law consultants is claiming to have relationships with the RDAP coordinators at the specific prison. So we called the prison in question, got a hold of the prison psychologist, And the prison psychologist told me that that doctor, Telbert, hasn't been there in right about a year, and they had no idea who Rdap Law Consultants was. Now, we found out later on from speaking to the therapist that the therapist, he wasn't even the one to submit the reports. He would give the reports back to Rdap Law Consultants, and they were the one, because they told him it had to be put into a specific package to get mailed out. So I'm wondering if they even mail these packages out at all. There's no way we'll ever know that unless somebody else that's watching this video has some insight on it. But there's just a lot of red flags from the way they got her on board, guaranteeing her into the program. It just doesn't work that way, guys. It's not that easy. And they put this lady through hell. That's the reason why they didn't give her money back because they felt bad. They gave her money back because they were afraid she might do something like what she's doing right now. That's my opinion. What do you think, Lynn?
Absolutely. I don't think he felt bad at all. And like I said, after he gave my money back, he continued to email me things that had other clients, confidential mental health, medical conditions, things that may appear in a PSR, but definitely would not be public record. I've got those items with those people's information in it.
Say that one more time. I didn't hear that last part.
I have information, documents emailed to me that literally has other people's private information from their PSRs that is actually a sealed document and that I shouldn't even be seeing, but I was emailed those by Rdap Law Consultants since he returned my money.
And it's really a shame because, okay, the main reason for doing this video, look, we have several clients right now that are willing and ready to take this to the next step, not just posting it on social media, not just bringing awareness to the community. They are ready to go to the next step. Attorney General, filing lawsuits. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here that potentially could be very, very ugly for these guys. What my hopes are is that they see this video. And look, there's plenty of competition out there. This isn't about me just trying to bump off competition or steal business. I'm nowhere near the amount of business that Rdap Law Consultants is doing. We're very well aware of how busy they are, how many clients they're bringing on. We know that their therapist was getting 7 or 8 clients a week that he was taking care of. So we know that they're bringing on steady business. That's fine. The only thing I ask you guys, if you're watching this video, to stop what you're doing and do things the right way. There's plenty of things to do where you can legitimately help somebody from your experience. If you didn't go to prison, it's not the end of the world. You can still have some great information. You don't need to lie about it. Dan Johnson, or Daniel Barnacle, whatever your name is, if you're using a fake name to try to mislead people, or I don't know why you're doing what you're doing. I've talked to you guys in the past. I've sent emails asking you please to stop doing this. And you sent me threatening emails back saying you're still on probation. Be careful of what you say. Just so you know, just so it's crystal clear to you guys, and you guys meaning Rdap Law Consultants, my probation officer is completely aware of everything that I do. I do not try to hide anything. I send them links to my videos. They know about this video right now. They know what my intent was. They know why I'm doing this, and they 100% support me. I've got permission from the court that I was sentencing from to do what I do. So if you really want to bring and threaten and try to sue or try to threaten a lawsuit on me or Lynn, which you already sent Lynn a text message today, what was the text message they sent you at the end of the day, Lynn?
Hold on, and I can just look back and tell you. They basically are threatening me if I told anybody about what they were up to, that I would basically be sued. They said that if I released any of the information that they sent me, or anything about anything with them and their representatives, shared any of the information, that I even got off their website, which is obviously, if it's out on their website, that is public stuff. He said that they'll file a lawsuit and that I have been warned.
Sounds like to me that they are... Honestly, sounds like to me that they're scared of you. That's the inkling I get from this. And I'm actually going to read here. So what they're referring to on their website, or not on their website, on the bottom of their emails, it says, this email contains confidential information and is intended only for the individual named. If you are not the named addressee or should not disseminate, distribute, or copy this email, please notify the sender immediately by email. If you have received this email by mistake, and delete this email from your system. email transmissions cannot be guaranteed to be secure on error. There's a bunch of other blah, blah, blah. So what they're saying is that if the email was sent to me by accident from them, if they sent me an email directly, I can do whatever I want to do with it. If I think that you're not doing things the right way and I want to go voice my opinion, whether it be on the internet, whether it be on the radio, whether it be at any type of a public engagement, I have that right to do that. Just like Lynn has the right to forward me the emails directly from her. So they were intended for me, Rdap Law Consultants. So be careful about the threats that you're texting and emailing, because if you don't be careful, I'm prepared for a lawsuit, 100% prepared for a lawsuit. And I've spoken to our legal department, and we are not doing anything wrong. We're not defaming your character. We're not making up false accusations. Everything that we've stated today on this video is 100% able to be backed up and verified, or simply I wouldn't be doing it. We had a lot of controversy about getting into this, and Lynn was a little bit hesitant because nobody wants to go. She's already getting ready to go to prison. She doesn't need to be spending her time on here when she could be spending time with her family and her animals. But here she is sharing this information. She's already got her money back. It's not about losing money. It's about protecting others from you guys taking advantage and possibly abusing somebody else's trust when they're already in a dark period of their life. So it's simple. Just knock it the fuck off, and these emails and videos will stop.
Absolutely. I am doing this because I don't want anyone else or their family or their friends, for that matter, because my friends have had to go through this with me as well. I don't want anyone else to go through the stress and everything I've gone through the last month and a half after I paid these people $3,000. And as soon as I paid them, all of a sudden I had to do all these things I didn't sign on for. And so, putting fear in people, trying to make people lower than they already are at the worst time in their life, and making their family upset. It's a scary time. And, I feel bullied by them. I feel preyed upon by them at my lowest time in my life. And I know they're doing this to other people. And, yes, you're right. I didn't really want to come on here and tell this, but if it saves one other person from going through what the nightmare I have been through with these people, then it's worth it. And, I'm not one to take phone calls and investigate people like this, but, these people needed to be investigated. And I thank God that you actually told me to record the phone call, because I would have never thought to do that. And it would have been my word against theirs. But obviously, and you didn't play the entire phone call because it was close to 30 minutes long. But it's pretty disturbing. I know I sound a little upset on the phone call, but how would you feel if someone that had done you this way called you at 6:30 on a Saturday morning on top of what they've done? It's just crazy.
And I can assure you, I'm not doing this for a dime. I have not profited one penny off of Lynn and what we've been able to accomplish. Our first call was 6 hours. We've had probably several hours after that. We've probably got 15, 20 hours of conversation logged within a week. My interest was that Lynn was willing to be outspoken about this. I'm telling you guys, I have a file on this specific company, on clients that are in prison, some that are going to prison, some that never used them, that have forwarded me transmissions that read almost identical what they told Lynn. So I do not believe for a second that they have learned their lesson. I'm hoping that this might snap them out of whatever they're doing, because look, we have rattled them. They might come after us, but we have rattled them. Their therapist has quit. They've yanked stuff off of their website. They gave her money back plus 10%, plus gave $125 to the therapist, and the therapist didn't even want the money from them. The therapist wants nothing to do with them, but they sent it to him anyway. The only reason I can imagine somebody doing that, look, if you were my client and I honestly did the right thing by you and you weren't happy with it, guess what? You're not going to get your money back, because I'm not promising or guaranteeing anything. But if I'm giving you your money back, plus I'm giving you a bonus, what's the reason for that? I'm not going to say that it's 100% because I don't know, but my opinion, it's hush money. It's please don't take this any further. They also called her and told her that Channel 5, and where are they? Ohio? Is that where it was out of?
Yeah, they told me that they accused me of reporting them to a news station and making threats to me that if I was the one that had done that, basically, they were going to retaliate. And I don't even know a Channel 5 in Ohio.
So she told me this, so I took it upon myself to contact Channel 5 in Ohio, thinking, well, maybe somebody else is investigating them, and I'm curious to know what they know. So Channel 5 investigator called me back. He says, I have no idea what you're talking about. Now, I don't know if there's another investigator there, maybe was investigating them, but this investigator told me he had no idea what I was talking about. So I gave him a little bit of information, and he said, you know what, we don't know what you're talking about, but we are very interested. They took down all of my information. They're very interested in possibly running a story. This is where they're out of. And it just seems like the fact that they're asking Lynn if she's the one that did it, they must have other people out there that are putting them on this blast, because you don't see all the other prison consultants getting lit up like this. You don't see the Larry Levine's, Michael Santos's, Justin Perperni's, Bruce Cameron's, what's the guy over at Rdap, Rdap.com. You know, we're all in competition. We're all in the same industry. You know, we all prefer to get all the business, but you don't see everybody out there bashing each other on social media and doing things like this. This is just my attitude, my demeanor, guys. If I see something wrong and it's somebody's willing to expose it, I focus on the consequences. I am 100% willing to accept whatever consequence comes from this, because I know at the end of the day that this was done for the right reason. This was not done to knock off competition.
I only went with this company because they promised me 100% money back guarantee if I didn't get in the program. And that is really the only reason I chose them over, anyone else. And like I said, they're the ones that reached out to me. I didn't know there was a such thing as prison consultants until they started, texting, calling, emailing. They even called my attorney at one point, trying to get my attorney to talk with me about using them. Like I said, you're right, Dan. You've not profited one bit off this. You've spent a lot of time with me helping my fear of this situation. You went above and beyond to try to show that these people are being shady. Today, even, I was getting phone call after phone call from On. So I text his boss, who I assume is Sam, and say, can you please ask On to stop calling my phone? I'm not going to answer. Do you know what he had the nerve to tell me? He told me that that's not On calling me. And he said that because I had On's name spelt incorrectly in my phone, saved in contacts. I'm like, it is coming from his phone number. He said, no, he's not calling you. These people, obviously, I don't even know what to say to that.
And Larry just pointed out a good, if you guys are reading the comments, when Lynn just made the statement that Rdap Law Consultants guaranteed to get them in the program or money back, what they're not telling you is you may not get time off. You may get in the program, but not get time off. And if you get in the program and you're not getting any time off, guess what? You got in the program. They're not going to give you your money back. The other thing that we've heard, now I can't verify this, so this is what I've heard. This is hearsay. I've heard that some people, when they don't get in the program, Rdap Law Consultants will blame it on that person, saying they said the wrong thing or they did the wrong thing, and that voids the agreement. The people that we've seen get refunds are the people that say, hey, you're coaching me to lie. And why these guys would put it in the form of an email, it almost like a mental disability. Why would you put something into an email that can be traced and tracked back to you in a moment's notice? The fact that these guys have gotten this far in the game without smacking their face on the pavement and learning a lesson from this, they've gotten pretty deep into this. And I think they got very complacent with doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons. And it's not too late, guys. You can turn it around and, go change your name, go change the company, come back under a new umbrella. We don't care. Come back in it for the right reasons, try to help people, and I personally will leave you alone. But trust me, you're on the radar. You're on Rdap Dan's radar, and we are going to hear, especially from this video. Look, even if YouTube comes out and says, hey, take down that video, guess what? I've got a website, I've got Facebook, I've got Twitter, I've got Instagram, and I know a million other companies with YouTube channels that this will continue to play. So I'm telling you guys, take this for what it is. Let this shit play out and leave it alone. If you push, I will push back, and I have a bigger reach on social media than you guys do. I can promise that. almost everybody that's getting ready to go into federal prison at some point, whether it's early in the game or late in the game, comes across my YouTube channel because they start Googling out of fear and they find me. They will find this video, and if you guys are deceiving and lying to them, they will be able to spot it from a mile away if they watch 5 minutes of this video. So I don't mind talking to you. If you want to call up and explain yourselves and tell me what your game plan is on moving forward, we can do a revisited video in 30 days to see if you guys have making an adjustment to do the right thing. That's what I would say to you guys. If you want to make it right, show us, don't tell us, and maybe we can do something in the future to not make you look like a complete asshole that you've acted like so far. Lynn, you got anything?
They don't do this to another family. That's all I want. I want them. They've given me my money back and above my money that I didn't ask for. But, you know, the point is, I know there's other people out there like me that's never been down this path that are, you know, going through, like I said, the worst time in their life. And not only are they going through it, so is their entire family and their support base. So for me to have to spend my time de-stressing over all this and, you know, making time to expose these people away is just wasting time I had left with my family. And furthermore, disturbing my friends with my crying phone calls over this because I was so stressed and taking up your time. There's no reason for you to pay someone $3,000 for them to put fear in you, prey on you, lie to you, mislead you. And just, to me, it's just very unethical what they've done.
What was the first price they quoted you?
Well, there were several prices. In fact, if I wanted to do a trust account with their trust person, it would be $4,000. If I wanted to do a trust account with my own lawyer, it was $4,500. If my husband was willing to take a couple of phone calls once they got me in the program and said, you know, hey, yeah, they helped my wife. She, you know, they're legitimate. It was $3,000. If he wasn't willing to do that, it was $3,500. If we paid through PayPal, it was supposed to be $3,500, but because I balked on that, why is it different paying through PayPal? He went down to $3,000. But let me tell you another thing they did on PayPal. This was a contract. This was service. This is not a product or something I physically bought from them that I could hold in my hand. They went on there, they mailed us an Rdap free booklet that they give to anybody. You don't even have to pay them $3,000 and become a client. You can order their booklet off their website for free. They mailed us the booklet. Then they went on PayPal and used the tracking number that they put on that booklet to act like they had shipped us something that I paid them the $3,000 for. And I think they did that in an effort to prevent us, if they didn't do what their contract said, to try to prevent us from getting our money back on PayPal. However, I was able to talk to PayPal and tie up their PayPal account.
So yeah, these guys definitely stepped into a heap of shit on this, and it's unfortunate. But the good news is, you know, you're able to move on from this, Lynn. You're able to get a legitimate assessment. Thankfully, this therapist had a heart, and he realized what a bad situation you were in, not to mention the situation that this poor guy is in. You want to talk about fear and terrified and somebody that's not sleeping at night. This guy is so upset that he now knows what this company was doing, that this is a regular everyday person that's just out there trying to make a living. And Lynn, how much money did Rdap Law Consultants tell you they were paying the therapist?
$1,000.
And how much did they actually pay the therapist?
$125.
So look, it's not one thing they did wrong. It's not two things they did wrong. It's not three things they did wrong. So far, seems like every time they open their mouth or send an email, there is something fucked up with what they are doing, to the point where it's like, how can you not bring this to light? I watched the movie last night. I forgot the name of it. The movie with Tom Hanks. I think it was called Newsroom. And I was a little bit nervous about making this video. Like, man, I don't need problems from these guys, even though they're dead wrong. But after watching this movie Newsroom and seeing, it's like, man, I feel like it's my civic duty to be able to bring this to people's attention. And thankfully, it doesn't do me any good out here doing it on my own. Having the support of a client or an ex-client that went through their program, and not through their program, but halfway through the program, and dealt with all of the shenanigans and the internal and how they tried to control her and manipulate her and bully her into doing things and threaten her with, if you don't do it, we're going to call the prison and make sure you never get into Rdap. These are legitimate fears that somebody has when they're going to prison. They don't know if you're telling them the truth or not. They just bow down and do what you say, because what if you are telling them the truth? Not everybody was able to get a hold of me and able to do some research and have some wherewithal to use common sense. Lynn has been able to make some hard decisions. And look, this part of it alone, these decisions that she's been making, has been stressful on her and her husband. This has been a rough, just the last week has been a rough period of time. And now we don't know what repercussions are going to come from this, but we know that it's being done for the right reasons. So at that point, we're like, fuck it, bring it. Because if you do, I have a whole file of people that are just ready to fire back at you. So the last thing they want to do is open that door. I think they want this to go away, and I hope they do the right thing. Lynn, let me ask you, what is some advice you would give to somebody? And we're going to wrap this up here in a minute because we're at almost an hour. What is some advice you would give somebody that is getting ready to either they just got indicted, they just got sentenced, and they're fearful, they're wondering what they can do? What are some things you wish you had done different, and what are some things that you would advise or recommend for somebody else to do? And go ahead and give us your thoughts on that in within a minute to 2 minutes.
I wish I would have got a consultant involved sooner, but attorneys tell you that that's a sham. But I wish I would have got a consultant even before the PSR, before you have your character letters written. There's some things that you've told me about, narratives and things that I didn't even know about and haven't done. I would encourage people to interview consultants, get someone that's reputable, that's willing to actually be ethical and not try to force them to do things that probably are illegal. And that I just try to find a good person to help you get through this, because it's a stressful time.
I think that's pretty good advice. Don't try to go about it on your own. Realize there's going to be areas that you're not familiar with. And whether you hire a prison consultant or it's free to get on the phone and talk with me. I'm not going to charge you. Just have a conversation and point you in the right direction. I know Larry Levine does phone calls like that all the time. There's a lot of people out there that will gladly get on the phone and have a quick conversation with you. I want to say thank you to Lynn, the Post, correct. Thank you, Kathy. I want to say thank you to Lynn for joining us, for sharing your story, for sharing the content that you shared, for sharing the audio file. I know there might be some slack that comes down the pipe from this, and I can promise you that this won't be the last time that you and I talk. I do have enough ammunition to prove that you're not the only person they've done this to. So depending on how they want to handle this, I think we're covered. Guys, don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, share this information, specifically this video. If you're not big on sharing videos, I get it, but this video, share it, because you never know who's going to be in a situation that might be looking at a potential federal prison sentence. And if they are, there's a good chance they're going to talk to people that might tell them things like this. If you've been a victim of either this company or another company telling you similar types of things to do, make sure you reach out to us and let us know, because we might be able to help you not only get your money back, but make sure that it doesn't happen to somebody else. Also, if you have not got your Rdap Dan wristband yet, there is a link in the website. And here, I'll post it right now. There's a link in the website. We just mailed out like 17 bracelets last night, guys, so I apologize if some of them are coming a little late. The bracelets, the point of them is not for fashion, even though I think they look super cool. The point of them is when you look down, you see it on your wrist, it stops you from dwelling on whatever negative thought that may enter, and it gets you to do something positive and keep moving. And the bracelets are absolutely free. There is an option on there that if you do want to donations are welcome. However, it is not required. And if you do donate, all of the money that you donate goes to help those in prison right now that are less fortunate, that do not have commissary items, that do not have hygiene products, that maybe need some warm clothes, that are trying to send an email or make a phone call to a loved one. So that's where the money goes. If you guys want to help, you can click on the link I just posted. The link's also in the video. You can click on the little money sign right next to where the chat box. Any way you want to donate, guys, every penny helps. I appreciate all of you. Lynn, thank you very, very much. We will have Lynn back on either next week or the week after to tell her actual story about how she got in trouble, how she was indicted, and then the indictment was dropped, and then she was indicted again. She went to trial and lost. She's going to be telling that story within the next 2 weeks. Thank you guys. Have an amazing night. I'm Rdap Dan. I love every single one of you. And as always, people helping people. Community is method, one day at a time. All right, guys. Peace.